Welcome to this 30-minute Pilates class that is specifically designed for folks recovering from COVID and anyone who just wants to work on breath and move at a nice slow pace. So for today's class, you'll need just a towel or something that you can use as a bolster. And I will say that we are going to possibly fold it in half to make it even bigger for a little diaphragm release. So something that you can change is good. But something like this that's kind of as wide as your hips, so you can put your hips or your upper back on it, is great. Just about a palm's width, maybe a little bigger or smaller. You can adjust as you need it, okay? But let's start on your back. We'll see how long she stays. And have your thing nearby so that you don't need to get up to grab it in a moment. Let's see, what do you need to see? Here you go. So start with your hand, you're laying down, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. It's gonna always be a little easier on your back than long legs. But you know, in the end, whatever's comfortable. Take the heels of your hands to the sides of your rib cage here, just kind of below the sternum, the widest part of your ribs. Elbows are kind of out. Make sure the shoulders aren't hunched funny. And just start to breathe and just naturally, whatever happens, no right or wrong. And notice if you feel any movement in your hands and the sides of your ribs. If you do, that's great. And if you don't, I would encourage you to try to press a little into the heels of your hands here with your ribs. And exhale. Doesn't need to be the biggest breaths. As we move, if I'm cueing a breath, I'm saying inhale and you're exhaling, no big deal, just catch the next one. Or I may be breathing faster or slower than you want to breathe. So adjust to whatever feels comfortable for you, but do try to press into the heels of your hands. Now, if you want to really give yourself a little work, you can press the heels of your hands into your ribs. They're soft, they should move a little bit. And then as you're squeezing them, inhale, try to feel your ribs press back into those hands. So what we're doing by beginning right away with focusing on breathing into the ribs is basically allowing you to get more breath into the sides and hopefully as well into the back of your body without having to rely on belly breathing or lifting the belly up. Okay, because we're about to use those abs in a bit and we want to be able to contract them but still have plenty of room for your breath. So that being said, take this bolster or whatever you have and lift your hips up, place it under your butt, basically. And you want to still have your pelvis neutral. That means it's not tucking up, your tailbone isn't lifting up, and it's not arching over too much. It's nice and neutral, belly is in. All right, arms can come down by your sides. Gently press the upper arms into the mat. Feel your chest opening. Feel your belly a little engaged. The lift of your hips should help that kind of feeling of scooping. And try to keep all of this going on as you breathe. Your exhale is always the chance for you to re-engage your belly, right? Inhale. You might lose it a little bit. That's normal. Exhale. All right, next up, on your next exhale, whenever it happens, you're going to lift your right leg up to tabletop. Inhale, lower it. Exhale, lift the other leg up. Left leg, inhale, lower. This is where timing comes in. Maybe you're going slower than me. Inhale, lower. Have your shoulders rolled forward? Keep them back. Have you forgotten to breathe into your ribs? Breathe into your ribs. I mixed up my breath, right? No big deal. Keep the breath flowing. Keep your legs moving. Keep your belly engaged. Now, if you're like, this is so easy, try to keep your hips super duper still. So no shifting even a little bit. They're gonna stay still right here when you're shifting to the other side. That's the hard part. And shiftless, right? Keeping your hips totally still. The abdominals are doing all of that work, transferring your weight. It's surprisingly difficult. I don't know about you, but my lower abs are engaged. Let's hold one leg up. Bring your other leg up to meet it. So now your abs are working a little harder to hold your legs up. And I'm going to offer you a few options here. You can stretch one leg out, bring it back to tabletop, stretch the other leg out. Keep your hips totally still. Don't slide, right? If you slide at all, you're going to be using your back too much. Stretch a leg out, stretch a leg out. Now, if you really want to work harder, you're going to stretch both legs out. Woo! Keep your abs engaged. So I'm going kind of fast, but honestly, if you go really slow, it's harder. So do it on your own time here. Your goal is to keep your breath moving. Keep your collarbone open, keep your hips still. I'm gonna do 3 more. You can do as many as you like. Last one. Pull the knees into your chest. You're gonna feel your tailbone tip upwards probably. You're getting a little tuck in your pelvis. That's great. You can rock your knees. And then hug one knee in and stretch the other leg long. With this lift of the hips, you might feel a nice stretch in the front of your straight leg. You can play with pointing and flexing the foot, really reaching the leg long, really pulling the other knee in. And then we're going to take your hands behind this leg. It's my right leg, and straighten and bend the knee. Ooh. If you're tight, you're going to feel it in your hamstring. The knee doesn't need to be here. It can be way out at 90 degrees right above your hip, okay? Hold it up. So if you're like, this is so hard, keep your hands on your leg and you're going to draw really small circles. If this position, if you can put your arms down and feel like you can hold your leg up, do so. If you're like somewhere in the middle, bend your knee, put your left foot down, okay? Wherever you are with this leg or wherever your hands are, you're trying to keep your core connected, keep your hips in, your hips still and your abs in, and start to draw some circles with your leg. How big of a circle can you draw where you keep your hips still? So that might be really small. It might be really big, but you got to be honest with yourself. Are you keeping your hips pretty darn still? Should do about 5 or 6 in one direction and then reverse. So I'm making a giant circle here, right? You might be here. Working your abdominals. This is hard too, actually. And then hug it in. Ooh. All right, let's do the other side. So hug your left knee in, or if you were doing the other leg, that's fine. Hug that leg in. Stretch, point and flex this long leg a few times. We're stretching out the whole hip flexors here, the psoas and the quad. Then start to straighten and bend your top leg. Straighten and hold it. Decide what you're doing. Maybe you should do what you did on the other side though. So turn your leg, put your arms where you want them, and start to draw some circles. I always like to be pretty curious because our legs can be really different, either because one is tighter or a little stronger, a little weaker. So just curiosity with each side. 5 or 6 of these. Remember, you have other options, and reverse your circle. Keeping your hips still, keeping this knee still for that matter. And then when you're done with those, place your feet flat on the floor. Arms down by your side. We're going to do a little bridge. Your like almost in your bridge already with your hips up here, but go ahead and tuck your pelvis. That's when you flatten the lower back towards the mat. The tailbone tips up like a dog tucking their tail. And then lift your hips up as high as you want. Roll yourself right back down. And tuck in, lift. Two more. Last one, tuck and lift as high as you want to go, and then slide that bolster out from under your hips and roll all the way down. You're going to hang out here for a moment, just relaxing and feeling maybe more of your back is on the mat. Maybe a sense that your breath, right, that's going into the ribs can also move into your low back. We want movement in the sides of the body and the back body with breath. If we're only breathing here, we're actually losing all of this space that we have to make space for air. Let's do a few more bridges. Tuck your tailbone, lift your hips up. Hold in your bridge for a moment. Press your triceps back. Your collarbone is still wide, right? No chin tucking or shoulder shrugging. And then you're lifting up only as high as you feel like you can basically keep your spine long. You don't need to stick your chest out either. Keep the ribs and keep connected. And then roll your spine down. If you're a person whose lower back starts to hurt in these bridges, lower your bridge. Sometimes we push with the low back and then roll your spine down. Z is literally spooning me right now. And you have two more. Actually really nice. And one more. Hopefully you've got some hamstrings and glutes warming up here. Roll all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And now we're gonna come up to seated. If you're feeling a little woozy, you wanna roll over to your side and push yourself up. Sometimes focusing on breath that much can make us a little dizzy. So you're gonna put this towel kind of somewhere so that when you lay on it, it's behind your heart and your sternum, behind the part of your rib cage that is like kind of the biggest, sturdiest part. It's the part that gets often pretty stiff. So you're gonna lay back, and if this feels nice, just with your head back like this and your arms long off to the side, you can do that. Another option is reaching back. This is a bigger stretch. If you've got shoulder stuff like me, it might be a bit much. You could go wider with the arms. Actually, you can always go as wide as you need. And if this feels like super intense, that you can't, it's like a feeling like very tense, you should bring your arms down by your side. If it still feels intense, you should have this maybe up closer to the tops of your shoulders. If your neck is tight, I would also maybe go even lower. Maybe just a flat mat, even without this, is going to be enough for you. So wherever you are, with your arms open, or even down by your side, but this chest opening, we're now stretching out the pecs. We're stretching out the front of your ribs. And also those abs that we started to work. So take a few breaths here. Another option, if you want to really go for it, is long legs, right? This would be the biggest, stretchiest version. So many options. Listen to your body. And take a few more breaths as you listen to the constant construction outside my building. So to come out of here, and you could stay here longer if you want, but I'm going to just start talking about it. You're going to scooch yourself so that your knees are bent, your feet are flat, your heart is still basically at the top of this bolster, but you're going to bring your hands behind your head. And I'm going to invite you to curl up, which can be feel like a lot after this. So if you're worried about your back, take this really easy at first. You're going to lift the head up first, And then you're going to start to press your abs down to curl up. And then lower halfway and curl up. So now this bolster is acting as a little fulcrum. It's right at the point where you're curling up, where you're folding. If it's very low, this is going to be hard and unpleasant in your back. So you might need to scooch, okay? Find the right spot for you. Depends what you're using. It depends on your back. But once you find it, it's really helpful in letting your neck relax and getting your upper abs engaged. Now here's the trick. You use your abs to curl up, but you also use your abs to lower you down. So don't just relax, okay? Curl up and use your abs to lower. Curl up, use your abs to lower. Curl up. That way you're getting exercise in both directions. Again, I'm going fast. I'm doing a lot of these. Try some, take a rest, or stick with me, or hop back in after your rest. I'm going to do 5 more. Woo. 4. Can you still breathe while you do this? Right? Don't hold your breath during the hard parts. And the last one. Lower down. Oh, Nelly. So if you want to take a stretch here, if you love this position, do it. If you hate this towel under your back, take it out of there, okay? To come out, you can roll over onto your side, push yourself up, and take this towel out. So from now, we're going to do something without any of the bolster, right? Nothing, hips, upper back, you're on your own. Bring your arms down by your side. We're going to do a slow motion 100. So bring your legs to tabletop. These are all options. Like you could do the 100 here. You could bring your legs up and do it here. You could curl up. Ooh, check in on that. Maybe do that a few times just to warm it up. And then hold. So for the 100, you inhale for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, raising the arms, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Can you breathe into all the places we were talking about? Inhale into your back, into your ribs, and exhale. Remember, you can put the head down. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Collarbone wide. Inhale. And exhale. It's called the 100 because we're doing 10 of these breaths. I think we have 3 more. And exhale. Zip up your abs. Inhale. And exhale. Then final breath. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And hug these in. And take a moment. All right, so we're coming to my favorite part here is going to be a diaphragm release. So you're going to take this bolster, and honestly, you could try with it just like this. I know for myself, I'm going to want a bigger bolster because what you're going to do is basically lay on this thing right under your belly. So the diaphragm, big muscle, right? When it contracts, it pushes down to suck air into your lungs, right? It creates like a vacuum. So the air can come in and then it goes like this when you're pushing the air out. It's more like relaxing, right? And your abs can also help to push the air out. So laying on your diaphragm is going to give it a little release because it works really hard to help you breathe. Also, it's a giant muscle, and your psoas muscles go through it, your esophagus goes through it. It goes from your ribs to your back. So if you can release it, it'll help release your lower back. It's going to be good. So you lay down on your belly, and it's going to feel maybe a little weird. So this is one option. You're on your elbows, and you're breathing. And just like when somebody puts their thumb onto a pressure point and like holds it there, that's what this bolster is basically doing. It's holding, your body is going around on its business here. Diaphragm still moving. but it's getting that massage from this bolster and from your weight. If you want a deeper release, you can rest your head on your hands. So we're gonna hold here for another 45 seconds, because I've probably been chatting for about 15 seconds of this minute. Remember, you want it in the soft part, not under your chest where your rib cage is. Just under the ribs to your lower belly, probably. You're coming up on the last 5-10 seconds, so take a few more nice, big, slow breaths. Acknowledging what other parts of your body are talking to you. Is it your legs? Is it your heart thumping in your stomach? And then coming up to your elbows if you were resting, roll to the side and take this out. So now I invite you to bring your arms long by your side and rest your forehead on the mat. You're going to bring your legs close together. I'm turning my head to you so you can see, but if you don't mind, put your forehead flat on the floor. I'll try to use my words to describe what you have to do. But you're going to basically reach your arms back. Feel how your shoulders will open up. Remember, we were practicing having that collarbone wide. Reach your butt towards your feet too. So your butt muscles are going to squeeze down towards your feet. Your shoulders are reaching. Your hands lift. And then your forehead and your chest lift. And then you lower. Inhale to lift is my invitation, but honestly, as long as you're breathing while you move, that's the most important part. If you can breathe while you move, you're telling your body that everything's okay. You can do this. You don't need to brace or fear for anything. Three more. Remember, you're always welcome to take a rest and hop back in. Two more. Last one, reach it back and see if you can hold. Can you reach your feet down into the floor? Can you reach your butt to your feet? Can you reach your hands to your heels? And then lift your arms up and down like just a few inches. If you lift a lot, your shoulders will get funny. Just a few inches. And lift. And lift. This is a lot, I know. Two more. Lift. And lift. Lower down. And then take yourself back into a child's pose. So sit, open the knees as wide as your mat. Sit back towards the heels and walk your hands forward. If you can't get your head to the mat, get that pillow out. Put your head rest up on it. You want to be able to rest your head basically and not hold this big heavy brain up. Remember how we were practicing breathing into the sides of the ribs and then talking about how you can also breathe into your back? This is a great place to practice that breath. So while you're here again, I'm turning to you so you can hear me, but I recommend forehead down. Breathe into the sides of your ribs. If your ribs are touching your thighs, you can even try to feel them pressing into your legs. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Breath is really 360 degrees around. And a lot of times we get tight because we're kind of using other muscles to breathe instead of that nice big diaphragm and letting everything go. So help yourself up. You might bring your hands to your knees and roll yourself up. And then You can have a seat, and just for the last few moments, we'll take, so if you're tight on your hips, you could actually sit on this bolster, right? This might be the most comfortable way to sit like this. You can also sit on your knees if you want, or in a chair, honestly. But either way, you're gonna sit up nice and tall is the most important part, that you don't feel scrunched down, that you can lift. And take your hands back to your ribs the way we started. And maybe you hook your thumbs behind, okay? And actually, I'll show you that. So if you hook your thumbs behind, can you breathe into your thumbs? Can you keep that belly just a little engaged, the way it was when we had our hips on the bolster? Having that sense of full 360 breathing. Take your arms off to the side, reach one arm up and just take a side stretch. Try not to rock the hips, try to keep your hip down. And maybe instead of thinking down, you think reaching up to where the wall and the ceiling meet over there. This arm is supporting me a little bit, and then push off of it to go into the other side. The sides can be so tight and can hinder our breathing as well. We're going to do another stretch in a moment that's also rotation. Rotation is really key for opening up the back and the sides of the body for your breath, for mobility. So you can just stay like this and take one hand across to the opposite knee and put your other hand back on the floor, or your dog, as the case may be, and take a twist. Okay, don't wrench yourself. Just try to be really tall still, right? I could go further if I do something funky, but it's not good. I want to stay long in my twist. I want to keep space between my vertebra. And then gingerly over to the other side. Oh, poor thing. She's so allergic to the spring. So now you have another option, is get a little deeper stretch. You go into your little crossed ankle position here. When you're sitting like this, can you drop your hip? Grab your thigh from across. So if my right leg is in front, my left arm is hugging, and I'm putting my right hand back. And then come forward and switch. Hug. Drop this hip. I always forget to, right? It's going to help you stay long. Otherwise, you're going to be twisted and side bending in your waist there. We don't want that. Woo. So you're getting a hip stretch too, possibly, if you're tight like me, especially if you keep this hip down. And you're also starting to stretch those low side back muscles. And then gingerly unfurl yourself and come to a comfortable position, because you are all done. Thank you for joining me. I was missing for a few weeks because every Wednesday just got too busy. So, let me know if you have any requests or any desires. And also you can, if you just kind of found me on YouTube, because I made these public now, and you want to join my classes that I do on Zoom that are live in the mornings, Eastern time, shoot me a note here, and I'll give you the Zoom links. All right. Have a great day.